Yes, that gets me hyped right there. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lineup HQ preview show. Cheese, happy to be joined by you as always, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. Yeah, got a very interesting smaller slate, but it's a good one.
Okay, well, we're breaking this down here for DraftKings, kind of for the future, because we're getting this out a little bit early for the people. You're enjoying what we're seeing here?
Yeah, yeah. Just so for the general look at the slate, that DK is starting an hour earlier than FanDuel, so the normal crunch time is just going to talk about FanDuel at the normal time. So we're just going to talk about DK here because it's really, you add in these two games, it's a totally different slate. It's like this, the pitching in particular, it's a completely different situation. So we figure we need to just kind of do them separately.
Okay, we do have some weather thoughts as well, but we'll hold off on that for a bit because you mentioned the pitchers, and let's just start right there. I assume some of these pitchers in the earlier games are ones that you're interested in.
Yeah. So basically, we get Aaron Nola and Luis Severino with these first two games, and Louis Garcia as well. Although I think you can more or less leave him for MME. So it's basically Nola, Severino, and Logan Gilbert. They're all affordable. I mean, 10K being the highest price, you definitely are going to want one ace. And I think in most lineups, even though there are some cheaper things, I think you want two aces. When I first glanced at it last night without doing any research, just kind of, hey, let me see what it looks like, I thought, I'm going to like Logan Gilbert, and we're all going to like Logan Gilbert just because he's in Oakland, and Nola and Severino have the Braves and the Astros. But when I dig into it, both the Braves and the Astros are a little watered down. We're doing this before any lineups are out. I'm going to assume Yordan Alvarez is out after that collision yesterday, which would also mean Jeremy Pena is out and Michael Brantley's on the IL. This is not the same Houston team. It's just not that scary of a matchup. And Atlanta probably without Acuna again. It's a high strikeout team. Both these teams have pretty weak bottom of the lineups right now. It's honestly not that different than Oakland. Like it seems weird to say, but it's not. And Nola and Severino are simply better than Gilbert. So
Sure.
I also don't have a clue where the ownership goes. I think Nola Gilbert is probably the chalk. And Severino gets a little overlooked. I would be willing to play any of these guys higher if I thought they were clear chalk. I mean, I play the other guys higher because I think they're all very closely bunched. But officially, I like Nola the best, Severino second, and Gilbert third.
Okay, you did mention that there was maybe some lineups where you only want one of those guys and you're going down. So if you're looking for a cheaper pitcher, what do you like as you scroll down the lineup HQ to the cheap side?
Yeah, so I see two mid-tier and two cheap options. Ian Anderson and JT Brubaker around the 7K range. I think Anderson will be the popular one. I don't like him. Like the consistency is so bad. I'm playing Brubaker ahead of Anderson. Like I can't tell you that that's the play. I've got the bat projections pulled up right now. It clearly likes Anderson better. I think most projections are going to like Anderson better. I get it.
What is the case for Anderson here? Because you don't like the consistency.
Yeah, if you take so one thing is that the Phillies lineup is watered down without Harper, and we're kind of taking some very long-term strikeout numbers from Anderson that just aren't there. Like we know he has bad control, and we know he's inconsistent. We don't know that he's striking anybody out. Okay. For my money, Brubaker is just better right now. Like he's a better pitcher. It's close, but I prefer Brubaker, and the matchups with ballpark factored in are really about the same. So I get it on the projections, and I hope those projections lead people to Anderson because I would just rather play Brubaker.
Okay, and then you mentioned two more cheapies that you may have a little interest in.
Yeah, so the weird one is Kyle Hendricks, and this is where I think let's pause and let you talk about the Wrigley Wind because he's $5,100 and it's Kyle Hendricks. But so, like, what can you tell us about the level of this wind?
Really good hitting weather in Chicago. It's warm. The temperature is going to be around 90 degrees. Winds to start the game should be about 15 miles per hour, sustained, blowing out to almost dead center. And then they'll taper off a little bit as the game, winds down, but we're still talking 10 mile per hour winds or more. That's some really good hitting weather. I looked at Weather Edge. In 75 similar weather games, we've seen an increase in home runs of over 50%, an increase in runs of 33%. And so if you think an average game has, we'll just say 9 runs, an increase of 33% of runs means 3 more runs to that 12 runs. That's pretty significant, those kind of numbers.
So where I'm at on it, like if the wind were blowing in, Hendricks would be like massive chalk at this salary. With it blowing out, I think you really need that salary. And I don't think we do, because there just aren't that many expensive bats. So I don't recommend playing Hendricks. But what I'll say is I still think he's probably a little better than Adrian Hauser and Adrian Martinez, the brothers Adrian, if you will.
Okay. Yes, of course.
Hauser is basically like a cheaper Ian Anderson, just this inconsistent, can't count on innings, can't count on strikeouts. But he's in Pittsburgh, which is better than being in Wrigley today. Adrian Martinez is a rookie that we don't know anything about and gave up a ton of home runs in the minors. My lean is just stay away from this 5K range, because you really don't need that salary on this slate.
Okay, and you're certainly at least paying up for one of those top 3, at least one of the top 3.
Yeah, there's no chance I will have a lineup without one of those top 3.
Okay, great. All right, let's talk about some of the bats, and maybe we're starting in Chicago. I don't know. It seems like kind of a tasty spot. You want to talk stacks before we go position by position?
Yes, but first there's sort of one big picture thing I need to touch on. Right before we started recording this, we got a note that the Rays are going with an opener, Matt Whistler. But we don't actually know yet if it's a bullpen game or if maybe Jeffrey Springs is actually the pitcher here. I don't think we're going to get an announcement one way or another. It's just when you look at their situation, the bullpen game yesterday and everybody pitching, Springs would have been his normal rotation turn yesterday. He's not listed to start till next week. My hunch is that Springs gets 4 or 5 innings today, which makes me not love Toronto. If Springs doesn't pitch, I love Toronto, and they're my number 1 stack. And I don't think we're going to get this information, which makes it real dicey. So essentially, I'm building 2 different sets of lineups. If it's a bullpen game, these are my Toronto lineups. But in my first lineup builds, I'm going to say I think Springs pitches and Toronto ends up like 4th or 5th.
Okay. And when you say we're not going to get this information, you mean
I don't think they'll tell us.
Never?
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think Tampa's going to come out and say whether he's pitching or not, if they even know. But I think they know. Like when I look at how much they used pretty much their entire bullpen yesterday.
You can't do another bullpen game when you just
need it. Yeah.
Pitched them all. Yeah.
And he's on full rest. Like I think my lean is that we see him. And so I originally started with, I just want all the Toronto. I don't want all the Toronto.
Okay. I assume this kid is good, or at least better than random.
Yeah, Springs is the guy that last week he was mega chalk, and you were like, who is that guy? And then you looked, he's on my favorite team.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do remember that now. Okay. Okay. So
if we're not doing Toronto, the Wrigley game is the chalk. I like Cubs first, Reds second, and then the Rays are the other team that I like. That's a clear top 3 with maybe Toronto added in.
Okay. You want to zip through position by position, and then we can call it here?
Yeah, we'll just do it real quick. Catcher, interesting to spend up with Contreras. Another sort of big picture, step back and look at this slate. No one is playing any Dodgers. So they're still priced up and they're facing Musgrove. So consider an off the radar Dodger stack because they're the Dodgers. But I'm not really going to say any of these are great plays. I would play Contreras ahead of Smith. If Yan Gomes is in the lineup, that's another way to take advantage of the Wrigley wind and save some money. But otherwise, that's just a stack position. Joey Votto, mega chalk.
Oh, he's got the whole rainbow there.
Yeah, he matches up well with Hendricks regardless of the weather, and he's cheap. However, like first base is pretty great. Rowdy Tellez is good. Vlad is good. We've got multi-position guys like Moustakas and Paredes. Harold Ramirez. I don't think you probably used them at first base. And then we've also got, he's not projected well because who knows, but this Derek Hall for the Phillies is a rookie with some very legit power and could be batting 4th again. So I like him a lot as a salary saver.
Okay. Second base.
This is the weak spot. I really like using Paredes here on DK at second base. I think India will be the chalk, but I just like Paredes better. And everything else is just kind of nonsense. Like it's spend up to be different, but it's not great spend up. So I think it's more or less good chalk with India, but I prefer Paredes.
Third base.
Patrick Wisdom is my go-to guy. Nothing sneaky there, but I think it gets kind of spread out with Drury, Wisdom, Diaz, and Moustakas. The guy I like spending up on to be a little different is Suarez. The Seattle game, we may not even have lineups there when the DK, we probably won't when the DK slate locked, which is good. So I think that's a spend up to be different with Suarez.
Okay. Moustakas is hitting a bomb tonight, right?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just had that.
Yeah. He's the other lefty. Like you want lefties, and other than Botto, like he's it. And he should be middle-ish of the lineup. So yeah.
All right. Shortstop.
No one's playing Trey Turner at 5,800. Not no one, but I mean, I can't give you any reason to do it other than he's Trey Turner. No one's playing him. I like Wander Franco the best. O'Neal Cruz is interesting. And then like Farmer and Horner are both cheap and in that Wrigley win game. So they're good in stacks. But I would rather play Franco, Turner, Willie Adames ahead of them on their own.
It's sad to see O'Neal Cruz's price coming up here. Wasn't he?
Yeah.
2K for at least a little bit. And that was fun.
Yeah. Now he's priced, basically appropriately. Like still a good play, but not some must play.
All right. Outfield.
So again, kind of like we saw yesterday, there's not a lot of the expensive outfielders on the slate, but we do have the Yankees, and they're facing a good pitcher, but also a fly ball pitcher. Like I don't love stacking against Garcia, but I do love Judge and Stanton as one-off spend ups with power upside. Because I think that the Cubs Cardinals outfielders are the more popular. And I don't know if you know this, Roth, but Tommy Pham is not Aaron Judge. Like he's a nice guy and everything, but Ian Happ is not Giancarlo Stanton. And you do have the salary because there's so many cheap guys around the infield. So
and Aaron Judge hits a home run literally every night. And I say that every show. And then after the show, he hits another home run. So I say it the next day.
And he is facing a fly ball pitcher who throws strikes.
Yeah.
Assuming Jordan Alvarez is out, you can try Kyle Tucker, but I don't want to pick on Severino. I would rather spend up on Springer or Yelich. And then Schwarber, I'm also going to throw in there. I do like Philly's bats because, like I said, on Ian Anderson, I don't trust him at all. Tampa is a team I like just in general. I don't really like the Rosarena price on DK. I would probably rather just play Harold Ramirez and just save all the money.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're doing a full stack of Tampa. And then same thing with Suarez. I'll point out Julio Rodriguez. Julio Rodriguez is the guy you were talking about yesterday, this rookie that's just fantastic. Yeah. He's a spend up to be different. We should also point out Brian Reynolds hit 32 home runs yesterday. And he's still pretty cheap. I don't love anyone in that Pirates Brewers game today, but I can see some one-offs like Tellez or Yelich or Reynolds or Cruz.
Okay. And was it Harold Reynolds? That was your cheaper
Harold
guy?
Ramirez.
Sorry.
Harold Reynolds is the old player who's an announcer now.
Of course, of course. I knew that.
Harold Ramirez is 2,900 and eligible at first and the outfield. And I guess I'll just point out, since I haven't said it specifically, Yusei Kikuchi has been beyond horrendous for over a month, walking everybody, allowing home runs like I've never seen. There's some fluke to it. 45% home run to fly ball rate. The league average is like 12 to 15%. I mean, it's crazy, but it's not even just one or two bad starts. It's like every start he's given up 2 or 3 home runs in 4 innings. And Tampa's cheap. So I like it.
Okay. Excellent. Anything else you want to add here, Cheese?
I think that's it. Just like if we don't get any news on this Tampa pitching situation, it's dicey. Like I don't want to fade Toronto, assuming something that we don't know. But I'm just going lower on them. like I said, because I'm nervous about the spring situation.
Okay, good stuff. As always, Cheese, thank you for your analysis and excellent breakdown. Everybody watching, thank you. This was the Lineup HQ preview show. Be sure to tune in later today. Of course, we've got Crunch Time sponsored by FanDuel at the normal time, 30 minutes before lock. And we're going to be going over all the best FanDuel plays on that. So thank you for watching.
You have been previewed?
I didn't know how to crunch it out.
I don't know if that's a thing.
You have been Lineup HQ previewed. I don't know. We appreciate you watching, and we will catch you later today. Have a good one.